Well, I wanted to go to Reef Palooza in Orlando, but I had a conflict in schedule. I went to Marathon Key instead. Headed down there on Saturday and had a good day in fishing on Sunday, and eventually went off and did some snorkeling. Come on down with me. Here I am on Coffin's Reef. This is a little patch reef that's not too far off ashore, and a lot of the commercial party boats will take their people snorkeling here at Coffin's Reef. But this day we had it pretty much to ourselves, and I wanted to show you a little bit of the reef. Here's a rock beauty and a blue tang. I was a little surprised to come across the rock beauty. Usually I see those in deeper waters, the outer reefs where you have the staghorn, the elkhorn, and some of the harder corals. But here, this reef is a patch reef, has sea fans. You can see a whole school of blue tangs here. And so I figure I settled down and see what they're up to. I didn't seem to faze them a bit. I kind of went along for the ride with them, and they were grazing pretty good, and then they headed off from one patch and headed across the sand. I figured I'd follow them on across and check them out. They're a real pretty school, and the sunlight glistens off their fins. They kind of flash a electric blue. They're fun to watch. Well, one of the things I like to do in showing you these patch reefs is to give you an idea of how you can look at the reef structure and how it sets in the sand and what kind of corals are on it. And actually this particular reef, there's a rock beauty again. He's quite a bit bigger than the one I have in my aquarium. And there's a blue tang off by himself, just taking off to find the rest of the school. But this reef structure here is quite interesting. I love how it sets out on top of the sand bed here. And here's a very large gray angelfish. Poking around. And the typical sea fans that we normally come across. And that's just it. You will notice that Coffin's Reef, it's a patch reef, it's an inner reef. It doesn't have the same corals that you would have out in the outer reefs, the staghorns, the elkhorns, and a lot of the other hard corals, and anywhere near the variety and density that you would see there. The patch reefs do have a lot of sea fans. You just gotta get a look at the different combinations of fish and corals and reef rock to sand, and tried to capture this rock beauty a lot since I have one in my aquarium and wanted to see. He was quite skittish, and when I got close he kept going down deep into the rock. And here's a blue angelfish, full adult size. This is a protected reef, so we're not allowed to collect or fish or take anything off of this reef. So this is all for this taking time to do some video work and show you what a patch reef looks like. Couple banded butterfly here. As you notice, they pair off, and they pair off for life. So butterfly fish do that. Here's that blue angel again. Parrotfish, another blue tang. And then earlier we had a gray angelfish. This is a French angel, and a little bit difference between them. Same body shape and size, but different species. Some grunts. I really enjoy, of course, I really enjoy snorkeling, but I do enjoy looking at the videos. It gives me all kinds of aquascaping thoughts and ideas. Little coral head out in the middle of the sand. And we got all the different kinds of gorgonians here. Sea whips and sea fans. Corky fingers. But get a good look at the rock and how sponges are on it, and then that's a little bit of coral on top of that rock, and then some sponge. But eventually I'm going to get to collecting, and unfortunately, while I'm collecting, I can't be videoing, and I will show you a little bit of how, with somebody else that's in the water with me, what we do for collecting. But once again, here at Coffins, we can't collect, but there's not going to be any video of me collecting. I just can't do both, of course, and but we will see what comes of it in the end, and what I end up bringing home from this trip, be able to put in my aquarium. And there's some surprises here too. Here's that French angelfish. Get a little closer look at him. There's some surprises in this video too. Not here at Coffins, but I had when I was over collecting, I had run into some lionfish, and they're becoming a real pest to the Florida Keys. They're invasive species, and they have contests every year now of removing them by the thousands. And yet, and here's a spotted pufferfish, and I find it interesting. When I went snorkeling in Hawaii, I saw a lot of those. And it seems almost like it's the same species, but looks quite similar. I love this this sea whips and stuff here in this view. Plenty of white sand and the gorgonians. And here's our rock beauty. Turns out I ran into. I went back to look for that rock beauty, and I noticed there was two of them. There was a smaller one that I also caught that was about the same exact size as the one I have in my aquarium and looked identical to it. Here's a pretty brain crawl along with this gorgonian there. Now, enough with the Coffins Reef. We're heading on over to areas where I can collect in, and I came across this area, and you notice it's so different from the patch reef we were just on. This is a different day, of course, and there is no rock reef structure here. It's almost completely flat, and because it's flat, you will notice that there's not many fish. And we're in about maybe 8-10 feet of water. I don't think it's about 8 feet of water. And it's crystal clear. It's beautiful, but not many fish. Lone coral sitting down there with some Halimata macroalgae, some other gorgonians, some nuisance algae there too, you can see. And not much for fish.
No. But it's pretty.
Pretty, so I figured I'd use my camera. Then we can move on.
Yeah.
Then we come on over to this area that's a flat bottom. Has a lot of gorgonians, but you don't see the sea fans, and you only see occasional coral heads. Well, this has to do with the ecology of the area, the variations and the parameters of the nutrients and the temperature and the clarity and depth of the water and pressure. All this all goes into that. And here's a brain, lone coral brain sitting down in the sand. And you can't just lift these up. They're growing right on the. It seems like there's sand there, but it's almost a hard surface, even though it's flat. And there is sand, but then the coral's stuck to the hard bottom. But look how crystal clear this is. And hey, fish, a couple of gray angelfish. 3 of them swimming through here. So after a while, here's Daryl. He's snorkeling with a net. I hadn't seen many fish, but this is kind of how you would collect them. You have a net, you find a large head like that, and some tropicals will be around the head, and they'll kind of stick to it and maybe go down below in a crevice somewhere. You take a poker and you poke them out and poke them right in the net. And that's pretty much how we collect them. And then I didn't video record where I was collecting, but that is a completely different ecosystem. A lot more structure, a lot of tons and tons of fish, but didn't have quite the large rock area and patch that the Coffin's Reef did in the first dive. But that to say, I mean, how do we come about and we go to the fish store and we buy any coral we want and we stick it in the tank and we wonder why some of it's dying and some of it doesn't? Well, they're all from different ecosystems, and we have expectations that are almost unrealistic in a lot of ways. One of the fish that I had talked about previously I really wanted to get was a juvenile blue tang, which are yellow in appearance with an electric blue trim on their fin, and they're kind of really pretty that way. But I didn't end up getting any, unfortunately. I saw a lot, but they're I don't have the I didn't have the proper equipment, and I didn't have the energy to. Most of the ones I saw were the older ones, and they weren't really the ones I wanted. But here you can see there's a large coral head here with 2 blue tangs hanging around, a little bigger than I would want to collect anyway. So, and I ended up not bringing any home. Here's quite a large starfish that was crawling along the grass bed there, turtle grass. But the lionfish are quite a problem. They are having a major impact on the ecosystem and the reef, and so we did collect a few, and we killed them. I almost hate to say it, many of you may have them in your aquarium, but Daryl ended up collecting a bunch of lionfish, and And I says, you know, after I collected one, I says, I gotta stop doing this. I'm not here to clean the reef today. I'm here to get some fish for my aquarium. And here we are. At the end of the day, here's my collection. I did get a couple angelfish, a porkfish, the beautiful queen angelfish there, and then there's a large, probably good 5-inch or 6-inch size gray angelfish, and some butterfly fish. So the gray angelfish is quite a show fish. I really like them. Those and the French angelfish, I love having them in my aquarium. They are quite nice. They make a great aquarium mate. But I'm very nervous about this one, and with coral, of course. And I decided that this wasn't going to be a good plan, so I let him go. But decided to keep. You may think I'm crazy now. There's an owl crab. They look like spiders. But you may think I'm crazy now, and maybe I am a little nuts, because I'm going to keep this queen angelfish. Beautiful. Well, now that I have these 4 butterfly fish, I need to do something. And that's when I decided to go ahead and try some of Dr. Tim's instant cycle, because now you can see that I'm going to put them in this 10-gallon aquarium, and they're going to have to live in here for a while. And this way I can have it cycled over immediately. And I've never tried this before. It'll be the first for me to try Dr. Tim's and add the bacteria, and we'll see how that goes. But this is, I feel like I'm putting my neck out on the line with this butterfly fish. I've collected these many times before. I've never been able to keep them alive for any long duration, and really need to get them to eat. I put a little patch I took off the reef of this Halimata. Halimata is a calcareous macroalgae, and they seemed to be picking on it on the reef. I decided I was going to observe them and see what they were eating before I just netted them up, and they were picking on that a lot. So I'm thinking there was worms in it. I had a big hunk of it I pulled up, and they've been kind of nibbling on for the last several days until I got home. But I only pulled this little bit off because I got to go back to work for the next week, and I'm not going to be here, and those big patches sometimes will disintegrate, rot, and actually make your whole tank go foul. So made sure I took all the foul sponges and stuff off of it, and really got it down to a fraction of the size, and just have a little bit there. I don't know if there's anything left for them to pick on, but hopefully I'm going to be using the Reef Frenzy as a fish food, and I tried some of that today. It looked like they were interested, but I wasn't sure if they were eating it. This tank, I just put it together yesterday, so the sand is still a little silty. Hopefully it will clear up by the time I get home. Today's Sunday. Tomorrow morning I am getting on an airplane. I'm going to be gone and won't be back to do anything until Friday. So here they are. Hopefully they'll make it the week. Like I said, I feel like I put my neck on the line because past history shows that the butterfly fish do not have a good survival rate. I think everybody realizes that now. Anybody's ever kept them have been able to keep them for some duration, but not for any long duration. But the key is to get them to eat. I struggle with that, and we'll see. Why did I get so many? I had this notion in the past. I've only tried like one at a time, and even though I'm putting 4 of them on the block per se, I'm gonna see if one will work off the other to inspire them to eat. So, and it seems like that is the case. They seem to look at each other, and you know, it motivates them a little bit to be a little bit more aggressive in eating. So hopefully that would be the case. You can see this one now is actually picking around the clump, at least looking. And not that they eat Halimata, but there's a lot of little organisms and stuff. You notice there's a little, what I call a hi-hat, a little tiny fish. That's really a spotted drum, but when they're babies like that, we call them hi-hats. They're kind of fun to have in an aquarium. They're easy to collect. And anyway, I got them home. I got them in this tank, and I have to keep you apprised. And I'll have to tell you good and the bad and the ugly as the time goes on. But boy, I sure would like for this to be a success. They are certainly fun to watch. They're a beautiful fish, a pretty fish. Actually had the opportunity to catch, other than 4-eye butterflies, there was a reef butterfly. I tried to get him. He was too elusive for me. You see, this big one looks like he is actually getting something off that clump. I had stuck some of the reef frenzy right deep into it too, so maybe, I'm hoping that could be it. And I also had I spotted a banded butterfly, a little one about the same size as these, and I went down to collect him, and he disappeared. Actually, he disappeared into this very clump that you're looking at, and I never seen, I thought he was in there, and so I took the whole clump with me, but he must have escaped somehow, and I went back and looked and never did see him again to collect them off the reef. But I'll be showing you some of those reef videos. But this is it. If nothing else, I hope this video on these butterfly can help somebody, even if it's a failure, and what to look forward to, and have a little bit more information out there on the web about these. If you do a search on YouTube for, you know, 4-eye butterfly fish, they're about most of them are about 5 years old. The last time I seen anybody really post much of anything concerning this particular species. So I'm trying to at least bring something up to date on them. And well, we'll see what happens. So here I got the arrow crabs in my main reef display, and I got 2 of them. Look at that. So you'll see more of them in the future. There is a wrasse in this tank that may go after them, but they survived the first night, and that's good. And there's my monopora, looking good in the rock beauty below. But the rock beauty doesn't know it yet, but he's got something coming, and that'll be the queen angelfish. And I know there's gonna be a war for quite a while in my aquarium between the two, so I have to hold off before I put the queen in. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. You're gonna see what happens when you put angelfish in with corals, but that's the plan, and we're gonna learn from this. It's kind of scary. If you look in this little 5-gallon aquarium where I got the queen angelfish, there's a seashell, a conch shell. He's been hiding in that, so I think my plan will be to go ahead and put him in with the conch shell in the main aquarium for a time being, so he has a place to escape if things get really bad between the 2 angelfish. They're going to fight it out for probably a while before they settle out, but I'm going to take some sacrifices, I'm sure. Anyway, stay tuned, because this is going to be interesting.